Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to our global Nimble community. This is John Farrar, the CEO of Nimble, and today's a special day. I've got Larry Levine, who is my special guest. Larry, say hello.
Hey everyone, how's it going? It's a pleasure to be here, John.
I love, Larry, that you lead from your heart. And I think that really the great people are the softer, quieter people. And I think that Satya Nadella is a perfect example of somebody who leads from the heart with empathy in order to transform his team and the people that his team works with. And so I'm honored to have you with us today to talk about how to be nimble with LinkedIn and land your dream account. So let's talk about you a little bit. Let's go to your intro.
So it's been interesting. And I'll share a little bit more on the backstory here in a bit, John. But I'm the author of Selling from the Heart. I'm co-host of the Selling from the Heart podcast, which has been an honor that you've been on the podcast. I bring just real raw authenticity to the sales profession that I think's sorely lacking. I've sold entirely in the Los Angeles marketplace. I'll get to my backstory in a little bit, but it's just a complete honor to be able to share how I use Nimble and LinkedIn to grow and land dream accounts.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to hearing it. And then real quick, my side for those that don't know me, my name is John Ferrara. I've been in the relationship management business, I think, all my life. I invented contact management and CRM before Outlook or Salesforce existed with a company called Goldmine, and it turned out to be that for all the people that used it and all the people that we worked with. And I just think that relationships power your dreams. And ultimately, I think it's our purpose for being on this planet. We're here on this planet to grow, and we do that best by helping other people grow. And relationships are critical to all of that. So with that, Larry, take us away with the agenda. The only thing I'd like to do is a little homework, little housekeeping here. We have webinars on a daily basis. If you want to learn how to be more nimble, how to use Nimble to achieve your dreams, go to nimble.com company webinars, and you'll see a variety of webinars that you can sign up with, as well as pre-recorded videos on how to be more nimble everywhere you work. And be sure to ask questions. Go into that Q&A box. That's why we asked you where you're from, so you get used to typing in there, because that's how we all learn and grow. I'll be in the background compiling the questions and answering them for our Q&A at the end. And with that, Larry, let's rock and roll.
Awesome. Look forward to it. And by the way, John, can you help me out along the way and just monitor if there's any questions, anything that you feel that we could speak about right now? Feel free just to interject. Cool.
I'm right here.
Right on. So the agenda, and welcome everyone. We're going to have a great time over the next little bit in three areas, and let's just touch on them just real briefly. I want to share with you strategies to authentically engage with prospects online. I'm going to actually give you a real world example. You'll see this in a little bit in some screen shares, just of the ways to authentically engage. We're going to talk about a couple ways to build and nurture a valuable personal brand. I'm going to share a little bit about my backstory. I think we'll bring that to the forefront. And then I'm really excited to share how I combine Nimble with social platforms into my daily workflow. You're really going to get a behind the scenes look of how I integrate all this. This is my process. It might be a little bit different for you, the viewers that are on this, but what I would like for everyone to take away from this is just keep an open mind, grab a sheet of paper and a pen, take some notes, ask some questions, and together we're going to have a great time. Just want to share with you a little bit of my backstory just to set the stage. And John, I know this picture looks familiar because it's our backyard, so to speak.
You know, I don't normally see it from that angle. That's on the other side of downtown. It looks like looking towards the west from the east.
Yeah, and then I mean, just to give a couple our viewers who might not be familiar with downtown, this is the U.S. Bank building. I believe this is the new Korean Air Tower, John, if I'm not mistaken.
It is. It's the tallest building on the West Coast.
Yeah, tallest building on the West Coast, and somewhere right in here, as you can see me moving my mouse, would be right in here, would be the Staples Center. But I share this just to set the stage. I spent 28 and a half, almost 29 years in one sales channel in Los Angeles. I sold office technology my whole entire sales career. It's a tough, commoditized, sometimes I call it a backward sales channel. I love that sales channel that I came out of because it provided really well for my family. But there's something that I noticed along the way is that being viewed as a commoditized market, quite frankly, everybody viewed you the same, and that's unfortunate. And I want us to think about this as you start building out and expanding upon your brand. Everybody's different, everybody's unique. Everybody brings value. Everybody brings a sense of worth to the forefront. But unfortunately, a lot of us struggle to really bring that to the forefront. And I say this for one reason, because, and John, I know this is near and dear to John. He touched on it about relationships. Relationships are near and dear to me. I knew that if I wanted to build, grow, and strengthen my client base, I needed to build rock solid, deep, meaningful relationships with my clients. Because if I knew if I did that, and if I expanded upon the experience, they would help me grow my business. And furthermore, if I started to connect to their networks and influence their networks, they started to engage with me and they started to share our stories, and it opened up their networks, which were networks of their other people that they know. And I'm a big believer in this. As we get started, everybody on this call, everybody on this webinar is 1 degree of separation from your best sales opportunity. Let's stop and think about that. Everybody's 1 degree of separation from your best sales opportunity. Most people don't know it because most people are struggling to connect to their clients. And I share that for one reason. I'm going to take us back just a little bit. So I'm going to take us all back about 4 years ago in the start of building a brand. I spent from 1980, so now I'm dating myself, everyone, but that's okay. As I spent from the tail end of 1987 to 2015 in the copier channel, the office technology channel. At 50 years old, I found myself reinventing myself and starting over again. It was time for me to move on. And in 2016, I decided to do something completely polar opposite. I took a chance on myself and I bet on myself. And that bet was I wanted to bring sincerity, substance, and heart to the forefront in the sales profession, something that I feel is long overdue. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to do something completely different, and I actually wanted to tie in a social twist to this. Rather than, I'm a massive believer in LinkedIn and social and all aspects of that, but I wanted to do something differently, and that was, how do we integrate the whole concept around selling from the heart and bringing your best self forward and positioning yourself as somebody who's worthy of having a conversation with. So in 2016, without a single client, other than a concept and a dream, I set off to market myself, and there wasn't anybody outside of Los Angeles marketplace that knew me. No customers, no nothing other than a dream. I'm a big believer in this, and I'd like everyone to at least latch onto this for just a moment, is I'm a big believer that words matter and message matters, and how you position yourself matters. And it's all about walking, talking, and looking like an executive. And I say that because that's the world that I came out of. In 2017, I started the Selling from the Heart podcast without a single listener. In 2018, the fall of 2018, I released the book Selling from the Heart. Had no idea where this would take me, what doors it would open. And it became an international best-selling book that's opened amazing doors, and it's allowed me to become friends with John Ferrara. In 2020, I'm expanding even more around the brand Selling from the Heart. If there's ever a time where selling from the heart, it's now. It's now with the challenging and uncertain times. I think we all have the ability to build out our brand. But what I'd like for us to consider is, am I bringing the best version of myself forward? Am I walking, talking, and breathing the best version of myself, both face-to-face and online? And it's all about your brand. And I invested in this a long time ago, and I will share this, is I believe that if we invest in our social capital, will reap the benefits. And one of my favorite sayings is this: if we fail to invest, we'll never be able to collect. And if we just expand upon that for just a moment, this is what I'd like everyone to think about. If we fail to invest in our relationships, if we fail to invest in our network, if we fail to invest in our centers of influence, our friends, those people that are close to us, we will never be able to reap the benefits that those have. And I'm a big believer in this. And a lot of you might get a little chuckle over this. These happen to be my 3 favorite hot sauces. I love sriracha. I love Tony Chachere's, and my single favorite hot sauce is Frank's Red Hot. And we all know the slogan behind Frank's Red Hot. And for those on this call who may not know the slogan behind Frank's Red Hot, just after this webinar, go into Google, search out Frank's Red Hot slogan, and you will soon uncover what that slogan is. I'm a big believer in this. Everybody on this webinar has their secret sauce. It's something that's unique to you. And it may take us a little bit of time to uncover that, and that's okay. I'm a big believer in self-reflection, becoming self-aware of who you are. I share this for one reason. The challenging and uncertain times that we've all gone through together, straight across the world. I can't remember a time across the whole world everyone's gone through the same thing at the same time. But we all have a secret sauce. I'm going to ask everybody, find out what that secret sauce is, and then splash it all over your conversations, your relationships, your network. What brings the best version of you out? Everybody has it. I just happen to know my secret sauce is my gift. My gift to everybody is my heart. It was easy for me to bring sincerity, substance, and heart to my relationships, my clients, my friends, and my inner circle. And I want us to think about that as you build your brand out and how you integrate social into this. Find your secret sauce. Once you do, I promise you this, it will forever change the course of your conversations and your relationships.
Hey, Larry.
Uh-huh.
We've got a gentleman in the audience who says he's having trouble hearing you. Can you just get a little closer to your mic?
Mic's right in front of my face.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
You're quite welcome. I'll project my voice even louder, but the mic's actually about 2 inches from my mouth. And gotcha. I'm a big believer in this, that there's certain non-negotiables. And when it comes to prospecting, I'm a big believer in this. It's non-negotiable. It's an everyday activity. And John, I remember when we met, gosh, the latter part of last year, we talked about a relationship funnel and a sales funnel. And I think it's ever flowing. It's like a big crazy 8. But I'm here to share with you this, that if you all want to have an ever flowing sales funnel, a sales funnel full of opportunities, then every day we must be adding new relationships to a funnel. And when it comes to prospecting, I would ask everyone, what are you all prospecting for? And the way I view it is I prospect for conversations and new relationships every single day. Because, and John, I'm just going to use you as an example, even though we know each other. But if I connect to John, just right off the bat, whether that be a LinkedIn connection or any kind of social connection, John may not know, like, or trust me yet. It's up to me to, with intention, to proactively engage, build upon that relationship, learn something about him and his business that I might be able to help with. So here are a few things that I do that are non-negotiable every single day. I capture the morning really well. And when I say capture the morning, I block and tackle every single day, 7 days a week prospecting. I capture the first 2 hours in the morning before 8 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. So full disclosure, something that's unique to me, I get up every day at 3 o'clock in the morning Pacific Standard Time. It works for me. It may not work for anybody else. I do this for one reason. I spend the first hour of every morning working on myself. I do a little bit of exercise, and then I spend 2 hours prospecting, because I personally don't have time to prospect between 8 and 5 because of my coaching calls and leading workshops and all the things that I do virtually now. but I know that I have to prospect and I have to add new relationships and new opportunities into my sales funnel. And I want us to all on this call think like an executive or think like a busy buyer. They might be tough to get between the hours of 8 and 5, and I know it might be hit and miss, but I capture the first 2 hours every morning because I know I can at least connect to them and engage in conversation. You're going to see real-time conversations here in a minute. But for the first 2 hours of every morning, I can connect and drive a conversation at executive levels because it's before working hours. I choose to capture 2 hours on a Saturday and a Sunday morning to prospect. Yes, I know that's our family time and that's our downtime. But to me, successful sales professionals, it's a lifestyle. I choose to make sales my lifestyle. And on Saturdays and Sundays for 2 hours early in the morning on a Saturday and a Sunday, I've come to realize over the years, sales professionals, if I'm connecting to them, or executives are on social early in the morning. They're catching up on things. They're reading news feeds. They're catching up on messages. Think about prospecting for conversations. And more importantly, when you're starting these conversations, I want us to think like an executive, think like a buyer. Let's not think like a salesperson for a moment. The fastest way, in my opinion, to get engaged in a conversation with an executive is walk, talk, and act like them. Drive conversation that aligns to them, which is maybe it's not going to be a sales conversation. And what I'd like to do is I'm going to give us a couple of examples. I'm going to take you through. These are completely real world. The one that you're getting ready to see right now, this is a global prospect. This is from a like to a lead to a sales funnel. And you're going to see how I integrate Nimble into this and LinkedIn to engage in conversations that go from online to offline. So here's a real world example. So what I want us to think about when we're paying attention to our LinkedIn newsfeed is I'm gonna use a quote from a good friend of mine, Mark Hunter, who wrote the book High Profit Prospecting and a Mind for Sales. He's known for saying this: you can't take likes and comments and shares to the bank. And I firmly believe that. But you can do something with likes, comments, and shares. And it's about turning those into conversations. So in this example here, you can see that this was off of a post. You can see right here that 54 people, or 53 of the 54, actually gave it a thumbs up, and somebody gave it the clap emoji. So I target the likes, right? And I target comments. And what I do is I spend some time and I go through every single one. Is this person somebody who's my ideal client profile? Is this a company that I'd like to get to know? Does that fit the mold of selling from the heart? Is that somebody that I'd like to share and build a relationship with? So you can see in this example right here, I just blocked out his name and his company name. But the nice thing about integrating Nimble into LinkedIn is with Nimble Prospector, I can activate Nimble Prospector, then I can hover over somebody's name, automatically pull up Nimble, and I can see if they're in my CRM already. If not, I can directly add that contact from LinkedIn right into Nimble. It makes it easy for me to start adding people into my CRM on the fly without having to open up Nimble. So in this example, this gentleman here actually liked my post. I went to Nimble Prospector, he wasn't in it, I added it to it. And then I engaged in online conversation with him. And when I say engage in an online conversation, this is the online conversation. And this is an exact screen share. And what I'd like for us to really pay attention to is the timestamps that are on these. I'm a big believer in this, and I'm going to go back a little bit. But when I came out of the copier channel, I was trained this way, and it was first in wins. The first in wins sets the stage. I'm a big believer, and I carry that to social. The first one who engages in a conversation starts the relationship. And this is what I did. This is, again, this is screenshots right out of my LinkedIn message center. So you can see here, I prospect before 8 o'clock in the morning. This was actually 6:45 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Again, I'm blocking his name out, but this was just simple, right to the point. It'd be an honor to connect with you on LinkedIn. Would you mind? Look forward to getting acquainted. My name. He accepted on the spot. The reason being is I knew he was on social, because the little green light was lit that told me he was on social. He immediately accepted the invitation. He said, "Hi, Larry, thanks for the invite and fantastic to connect with you. Love your book." I had no idea the guy even read my book. And then my reply 1 minute later was, "Thank you so much. This means a lot to me." And then this is what makes me different. This is what I'd ask people to think about. Just start a conversation. It may not even be a sales conversation. All I asked him was this: "Hey, I'm curious to know, how do you think selling from the heart would resonate with your team?" And then have a prosperous day. I'm not going to read all of this for time's sake, but what I'm going to go back just one screen. So this was at 6:46. 15, 20 minutes later, he responded. Look at the response that he shared with me. And I'll read the second paragraph. It says, "Being authentic and considering it as your own business and being proactive is what sets us apart." He basically, in a nutshell, gave me a window into what's going on in his mind right now. And then he goes, "I hope that helps. I can get a lot more detail, but you get a sense that sales is truly my passion." And a few hours later, I said, "Authenticity is a lifestyle. Authenticity is a trust builder in sales. I really appreciate what you shared. Now I have a question. You can see I have a typo, but that was real time. Would you be open-minded to a conversation next week or in a few weeks?" Here's the key. It's, would you be open-minded? Most people would be open-minded. Hey, or another one you can use is, "I'm just curious, right? Would it be worth 20 minutes of your time to have a conversation with me next week?" 10 minutes later, he gets back to me. "It'd be an honor to connect with you in the next few weeks." I immediately added that to my sales funnel. I will tell you this. I had my conversation with this person on Tuesday. Yesterday, I confirmed this is for his global sales team. I'll be running a Selling from the Heart webinar with his entire global sales team. This just all came from engaging online, integrating it into Nimble, grabbing the conversation, loading it into Nimble, and monitoring it. And what I was able to do is paste that digital conversation right into my Nimble contact record, because so you can see how these things are date stamped and so forth. So not only can I use Nimble Prospector, but then I can take my LinkedIn Message Center. Though there's not a direct integration, I take the LinkedIn Message Center, I copy and paste the information right into Nimble. The reason why I do this is I want to know how many of my opportunities were started based on a piece of content or a social touch. From that, I set an appointment, and now I've been able to add that opportunity to my funnel. And on July 21st, I kick off the first of virtual sales meetings with this company. This was all off of one content, and this is all in the last week. But we have Nimble. What we're excited about is Nimble actually integrates into our key platforms.
Larry, before you go there, can you go back to the previous screen?
Sure.
I love this real world example where you teach people how to use interactions in order to initiate a conversation and a relationship. I'd like to share something I use in order to accelerate that. I use something called Auto Text Expander for Google Chrome. And
Nice.
what it does is it works on my Chrome, but also works, I do the same thing on my iPhone. I program macros in for standard sort of basic outreaches, and then I
Uh-huh.
modify them slightly to make them more authentic and real based on the person I'm talking to. But I really love doing that. And if somebody asks me, because I can't enter any text in the question box, if you basically ask me the link for Auto Text Expander, I'll type it in there for whoever wants to get that link.
Yeah, no, that's great. And just to reinforce this is, I think a lot of times what happens is people get lost in the LinkedIn message center. All I want to know is the minute that I connect to somebody and engage in a conversation and I rip it offline, I take that whole LinkedIn message center and I get it right into Nimble, because then I can start tracking conversations.
Yeah. And the other thing is you could use the Nimble plugin for the prospect app when you're in the message to bring up existing records or to build net new ones.
Yep.
Yep.
Awesome. And then, like I said, we have this integrated. So I have Nimble integrated into my Gmail so I can track opens on my conversations. We talked about LinkedIn, how Nimble Prospector ties right into LinkedIn, so I can hover over people's profiles, directly import those into Nimble if they're not already there. And then we have Nimble through the Zapier app. We have Nimble integrated with our website forms. And I'll give you an example of this. So here's an example too. So I can take web leads right to an appointment. And here's how I do it. And this is all done with Nimble integration. So let's just say in this example here, a prospect comes to the Selling from the Heart website. And they go into the book where you can see right here, it's hovered over, it's in red. So that'd be sellingfromtheheart.net/book. Then that person will fill out a form to download the first 3 chapters of the book. They download it here, they'll put in their first name, their last name, their email address. And this is actually a drop down, and it's a role. And in that role, it'll say CEO, VP of sales, sales leader. It'll say experienced sales rep, new to sales. And that Zapier, once that form is filled out, Zapier sends that form date to, and it sends it to Nimble, and it tags the contact as a book download. Now watch, here's the next thing. And by the way, if you want to try this out, go ahead and just go to sellingfromtheheart.net/book, fill it out, and you'll see how this works in actual real time as opposed to the screen share. So then in this example, what I've done inside Nimble is now I've set up, and you can see this here, as I've set up a book download weekly. I also have a daily inspiration. I'll talk about that here in a second. And then I've segmented out CEOs, experienced sales reps, new to sales, VP of sales, all based on those drop downs. And then when somebody fills out the book download, I get a notification, right? I go into this on a daily basis, but then every week I send out a group message through Nimble to welcoming people who've downloaded the book. Something as simple as, I really appreciate you downloading the first 3 chapters of Selling from the Heart. This means a lot to me. Please let me know if I can answer any questions along the way as you read the book. And by the way, here's a link to download the Self-Reflection Journal. This goes out every single week. And then from there, I integrate those right into Nimble, and I start my whole sales process and my sales journey with it. So this kind of gives you a little bit of a window into how we integrate at Selling from the Heart and Nimble into prospecting, online conversations. And in summary, this is what is listen socially. So just in bringing and putting a bow on this let's listen socially. I'm a big believer in this. Listening is the new prospecting. We must listen with our ears and our eyes to the conversations that are going on socially. Authentically engage. If there's anything that I've uncovered in my social journey, is that people post things because they want to be seen and heard. Now in the sales world, it's up to us to listen, to authentically engage, be conversational, capture those conversations. You saw how I captured those conversations. Capture those conversations with intention. Think like an executive. Remove the sales hat for just a moment. Think like an executive, think like a buyer, think like that person that you're marketing to. And most of all, make the ask. And it's not a sales ask. I always come from this, the philosophy is we ask not, we get not. But make that ask open-ended, right? I'm curious, how open-minded would you be to a conversation? If you've built your credibility in your brand and you're worthy of having a conversation, when you ask somebody, would you be open-minded? A normal human being is going to say, of course. It's the easiest way I know to take that conversation from online to offline. And I'll leave you with one last thing. If you want some daily inspiration, I do this Monday through Friday. You can go to sellingfromtheheart.net/daily every day at 6 o'clock in the morning, East Coast time. So then you know it's 3 o'clock in the morning, West Coast time. I put together a thoughtful message with an action item. I will tell you this, there's not one message that's been repeated. I put thought into this message every single day. It gives you something to think about. And then there's links to our YouTube page and there's links to our podcast and so forth. But what I'd like, I just want to go back one slide if I can, John, real quick, and then we'll wrap up. Is I'm a big believer in this. In the very beginning of this, I talked about our secret sauce. I'd like to end with a gift, right? Everybody has a gift. And during these times of uncertainty and the challenging times we've gone through, I'm going to ask everybody to uncover what your gift is. Now, right now, a lot of us have been given the gift of time, but let's use that time wisely. I'll leave you with this, and I absolutely sincerely appreciate the time. Is I'm going to ask everybody, what can we do to recapture, get reacquainted, and re-engage with our hearts? And once we do that, I'm going to ask you to do the same thing with your clients. What can you do to recapture, re-engage, and I'll even use one more, recommit to your clients and your prospects? And on that note, I sincerely appreciate this, John. This means the world to me. Hopefully you guys took away some key action items that could help you in how you prospect and grow your business.
Larry, that was really great. I think that you gave people a lot of actionable insight in how to be more nimble using LinkedIn or any other networking that you do. And I think the thing that really stood out to me is that you do it from the heart. And I think for me, what that means is I think service is the new sales, that you can get more by giving more. If your intent is not to bag and tag, but to help that other person grow, then you can't help us to succeed. And I think that that is the difference maker of a professional salesperson and a somebody who's basically just in it for the buck. And if you're in it to help other people succeed, not only will they come back and buy from you again, but they'll drag their friends with them. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. And I always say this, and I always say, if you want to learn what it means to sell from the heart, you must grasp the concept of what it means to lead from the heart and serve from the heart.
So let's do some housekeeping. For those of you who have not tried Nimble, there's a 30-day trial. Go to nimble.com, offers webinar 30, and you'll get a 30-day trial as opposed to the normal 2-week trial. And if you decide to become a subscriber, you get 40% off your first 3 months. Just use the code John40 when you enter your credit card. And Larry, do you have any offers?
Besides, well, if they want, they can go to sellingfromtheheart.net/the book, and they could download the first 3 chapters. They can sign up for the daily inspiration if they want as well.
Okay, perfect. And then let's do some Q&A. And while we're doing that, Larry, can you pass me the screen, because there's somebody asked for a demonstration. I'm just going to go ahead and
I'm just going to stop show. Would I be just stop showing my screen?
You know what? It's okay. Nadia, can you pass me the screen when you get a moment? So first,
you can tell I'm not techie oriented. Sorry.
That's okay. I am. So we're in good shape. So one of the questions was, and Larry, please open up the Q&A document so you can go along with me. Sure. The first question that I saw was, misunderstood the question. I thought working on your brand meant, do you need help on your LinkedIn profile? I've worked on it with 2 professionals already. And, I think your brand is more than your LinkedIn profile. I think that your brand is really the vibrations that you leave that the people are left with after you're done engaging with them. In effect, and that's sort of a spiritual thing. But the reality is that you can't really control your brand. Your brand is really defined by how people interpret their interactions with you. And your brand affects your ability to achieve your dreams in life. And so your brand isn't your LinkedIn profile. LinkedIn is sort of your business lobby. Your brand is really a consolidation of all your digital and human profiles and interactions. Every interaction that you do builds your brand or detracts from your brand. What do you think?
Yeah, and I would say, I always say your brand's your promise, and it's just how well you carry yourself. And it may not be, I know someone had said something about your LinkedIn profile. That's part of it, but it's just how you interact in and out of your circle of friends, how you interact with your clients, how you interact with your prospects. And it's I always say your brand is what other people say about you.
Yeah, exactly. And ideally, the whole purpose of your brand is so that you could stand out from the crowd as a trusted advisor. So when your prospects, your customers, and ideally their influencers as well, need your products and services, they not only pick up the phone and call you, but they drag their friends with them. That is the epitome of building a brand that stands out from the crowd. And the only way to do that is to give your knowledge away on a daily basis and to interact with authenticity and an intent to serve others.
Yeah, no, and it's so spot on. I just like to layer on top of that. And that's why I always say this is authenticity and how you lead yourself is a lifestyle, right? And to me, sales is a lifestyle, authenticity is a lifestyle. In order to, I love what you said, John. I'm a big believer in order to give, right? I mean, in order to get, you have to give.
Yeah,
And
for
those
sure.
they give capture the most. It's a lifestyle. It's not something you wake up in the morning and say, okay, I'm going to do this for a couple days, and it doesn't work, I'm just going to stop doing it. No, this is a lifestyle. And when you do that, people start to take notice.
For sure. Another question from Greg Fitzgerald was, are your conversations only email, text, or how often do you work to make physical calls for this? And, my answer to that is it's really a combination. But ultimately, I think the best way to communicate with another human being is on the channel and the methods that's most effective for them. Some people are verbal, some people are written, some people are combination, some people need to see your eyes in order to connect with you. And so I do my best to interact with people digitally, but I try to set time aside every day to call at least one person in my network in order to stay in touch with them. And because fewer people call these days, a call or a letter in the post
Oh,
office box really stands out from the crowd. But the best thing is face to face, because the more digital we get, the more human we need to be. And I love to take a walk with a friend once a week at least, and just connect with them. What about you, Larry?
yeah, I agree. There's so many different ways to engage in a conversation. I got to share it. It's sad, but it's a funny story. It just goes to show you where we're at. Is everyone forgets about the phone, John? Because we'll hide behind technology. And I'm all for technology, but I'm about humanizing ourselves through technology. And quite often, I love picking up the phone. I use every prospecting means out there to communicate with people. And you're right, we have to communicate in ways that people feel comfortable with. But I will share this with you. There's been times, countless times a day, that I will go to somebody's LinkedIn profile that hasn't responded to a message or anything like that, and I'll find their phone number if they have their phone number on their profile, and I'll pick up the phone and I'll call them. And you'll
Yeah,
be amazed, John, at the conversation that starts after they've picked themselves off the floor that I've actually called them.
yeah, yeah. And the whole idea, though, when you call somebody, is to, in the first 10, 15, 20 seconds, clearly let them know your intent,
Yep.
and ideally your intent is to help them grow, right? It's like you've prepared, you've done your homework, and you're ready, you understand enough about them and their products and services or company that you could add some value. And let's look at that for a second. Before you engage, in the old days, what you used to do is go in somebody's office and look at their walls, look at the books they read, the school they went to, the knickknacks they collect. Today, we do that
all over social.
It is. And what I encourage everybody to do right now is to Google yourself. And if you don't show up on the first page, ideally in multiple entries, then I think that you need to work on that. And one of the tips I give you, easiest way to show up on the first page is to build your own Wikipedia page, because essentially it's free and Google loves it. And so all you got to do is build a Wikipedia page. You're going to show up right here on the right. And then it'll basically tell you, who you're related to as far as the other people look for. And let's do that for a second. Let's go in and basically go and build a record for somebody. So let's build a record for Mark Benioff. It looks like Mark's not on LinkedIn anymore, so we won't do that. Let's build a record for Brian Solis. So we'll do it off his Twitter. He's got to have a LinkedIn. You know what? We'll just do it. By the way,
Brian Solis drives some really great stuff, John.
He does. He's a mensch, as they say. So let's say somebody asked for how to use Nimble and LinkedIn as an example, and I'm just going to show you real quick. So let's say I wanted to build a record for Scott Monty, right? So what I can do, actually, let's just do it for Jennifer Say, because I don't really even know who Jennifer is. So if I want to build a record for Jennifer, the first thing I do is I go into contact info and I open up this link, because it gives me a hard URL to connect to, because Nimble doesn't actually scrape the LinkedIn page. You have to basically direct it to what you want to look for, and you turn the Nimble prospector on. If you hover on that URL, then Nimble will go ahead and begin to build that page. And what it will do is it'll basically tell you the other pages that it finds for this person. And then what you could do is you could add that contact. And so essentially what I've done is I've added a contact for Jennifer in literally 2 clicks.
Yep.
And then if I want her contact info, all I have to do is go into here and essentially give it first name, last name, company, domain name, and then we'll go ahead and give me all the contact info. So then I basically built a record for this person. I have the contact info, and now what I can do is I can go ahead and tag them. And based on how I tag them, I can go ahead and make it so that when I in my day, I can send a one-to-one group message to each of these people to connect and follow up with them. And so that's a simple way to do that in LinkedIn. You could do it literally on any web page you're on. So if I want to basically know who a particular person is, I can highlight the person's name, and Nimble will then go ahead and bring up the record or build a record for that person. So Nimble will work inside of your browser, in your email. It'll also work inside of the business apps that you use. So it doesn't matter what you use Nimble in. Nimble works everywhere you work, brings up the records you have, and will build new ones. So hopefully that helps you with understanding how to use Nimble where you're engaging. And let's just go ahead and show you one last thing. So if I wanted to build a record for Chris Messina, basically, or Kelly Hungerford or Erica, it's as simple as just hovering on their names, and Nimble basically will do the rest. And so that's how you could be nimble everywhere you work. Hope that helps. Let's get to the next question. Do you use free or paid LinkedIn? I use both, because LinkedIn with LinkedIn Sales Navigator has put a lot of the features that used to be in the free LinkedIn behind a paywall. And I actually value the ability to do the advanced searches, etc. And then once I do that, I use Nimble to basically bring up the record or build net new records for anybody that I'm working with. What about you, Larry?
I use free and premium.
Okay, yeah, me too. And I recommend any business person that's actively prospecting to be a subscriber to LinkedIn Sales Navigator as well. But you just need to use it, right? You need to know how to use it like a tool. It's like you need to use a tool properly. So I definitely would connect with somebody like Larry to learn more about how to use it on a daily basis. Question on a link for the plugin that I use, and this is called Auto Text Expander. So if you just search for Auto Text Expander in Chrome, but I also put it in the chat window as well. Can you give advice to people who have a large database of contacts, haven't been nurturing the contacts for years? It's overwhelming. Not sure the prospects are irrelevant now. Thanks a lot. Okay, so this is a really great question because, you know, we teach everybody your network is your net worth, your branding network help you attract your audience in order to engage and achieve your dreams by helping them achieve theirs. But the reality is that if you are actively doing what we tell you to do, which is to go out there and build your brand and grow your network, blah, 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 you're going to very quickly get overconnected and overcommunicated.
Yep.
And so what do you do about that? Well, you need to build a process around it. But the thing is if you've been in business for a long time, you already are overwhelmed. So where are your contacts today? Well, your contacts are in your email platform, which could be Office 365, G Suite, iCloud, or Gmail, or all of the above. And Nimble will unify those email contacts and calendar and enrich them with people and company data. But then you also have contacts in Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, etc. But I think if you're a business person, you have contacts in your existing sales, marketing, customer service, accounting, or customer service program. And so I think your best contacts are in your accounting system because these are the people you've closed, that you've already sold to. This happens to be Business Central, but you could be using QuickBooks or Xero. And what I recommend doing is to unify those contacts, tag them appropriately when you bring them in a certain place. But when you import them, import in data of recency and frequency. For instance, from your accounting system, last sale date, year-to-date sales, credit limit, past due amount. And you can then use these things to build personas and segment your people properly. And what I do, I also will go into my Gmail or G Suite account and to combine that with my calendar and look at the last connection date. And actually, Nimble does all that for you. So essentially, when you synchronize your contacts into Nimble, it builds your last contact date based off your email and calendar. And then you can go segment people based off of recently contacted. And so I'd start with the people that you're interacting with the most recently, the people you sold to in your accounting system, the people that responded to your marketing, and the people you've interacted with on your Nimble system. And then you can then start tagging and organizing them because your contacts aren't just prospects and customers. Ideally, you're connecting with your prospects and customers, influencers as well, which is one of the reasons why I connect with Larry, because Larry is an influencer for people that would potentially use Nimble. And so I build relationships with the trusted advisor of my prospects as well, and then start organizing them and tagging them appropriately. And that's the way I'd recommend getting started. Larry, what do you think?
Right. You said it a whole lot better than I would.
Okay. Then we'll go to the next question. Is it possible to get a demonstration of Nimble Prospector at LinkedIn? I did that. What's the URL of the daily idea from? Did you talk about a daily idea?
Oh, the daily inspiration, they could go to sellingfromtheheart.net/daily.
Okay, perfect. I'm sure I just didn't put in a www. Oh, there it is.
There we go.
Another question is from Bill. I'm a new Nimble user. Larry mentioned importing LinkedIn threads. Can you provide a quick tutorial? Unfortunately, LinkedIn took away their APIs. Yeah. Nimble used to have full integration with LinkedIn, including messages and notifications, blah, blah, blah. But unfortunately, you now have to do that manually. So what you would do in a conversation, and I'll just give you a quick example.
I just copy, you copy and paste, John?
Yes, yes. But I just want to give you an example. So you build your brand by sharing content and then engaging with people that respond. This is a gentleman that responded and talked about me in Twitter. Because Nimble will automatically build a today page of your highlighted contacts that are engaging with you in social, you can then see the people that are talking to you or about you in your signals. And then basically you can then go to those people and build a record for those people so that when you interact with them, you can interact with them more appropriately in the moment. Nimble told me that he was the head of data and CRM at Disney, so I was able to then respond appropriately here. But then also I was able to, Nimble gave me his email and I reached out and sent an email direct from here, which resulted in a LinkedIn conversation. And during that LinkedIn conversation, I then continued to use Nimble throughout that flow. And so here I'm interacting with him, and I might decide to cut and paste certain parts of this information and then just go ahead and log that activity as a communication. And you can go ahead and set up custom activities that would be like a LinkedIn conversation so that you'd have it tagged appropriately. So I hope that helps. Virtual meetings from Glenn, what about them? You know what, I'll meet with anybody on any channel in whatever most effective way that works for them. In today's lockdown world, virtual meetings are the big hit. How do you segment people with tags when you send a welcome message to them and then not send it again when you send it to the next cohort? I think that's would be something that would cover in a longer thread, Ben. I'll have our success team in the background send you some links of effective tagging, etc. But basically, in a nutshell, if I were to send a group message, when I send the group message, I would then tag it before. If you didn't do the tag, I could then tag it here. So this is a group message that I sent. I can go ahead and tag all of those people right here. And then for the people that didn't respond, right? So they opened it, but the people that didn't read, I could basically send the next cohort. So I could basically tag the people that didn't open it or didn't read and send them the next cohort. So that's just an example, but we'll get you some information on how to do that better. Does Nimble work with email from my own website as opposed to Gmail, etc.? I'm not sure what you mean by your own website, Jody, but let's just basically pretend that Office 365 is your own website. So basically, if you wanted to bring up an email, a contact record for a person, you could always just highlight the person's name literally in any app that you're in, and Nimble will bring up the record for that person or highlight the email. Using lead web capture form adds to Nimble tags at book download. Then I send a weekly message. Do I then remove the tag if it doesn't repeat when I message the next week's batch? Again, Ben, that's going to be, I love these questions, but because we're out of time, we're going to have to cover those in a little bit more detail. Michaela and Nadia, please, in the background, get Ben answers to these. I have a box of business cards. How do you suggest I handle them? I'd scan them in using a business card scanner. There's 1,000,001 of them, and basically put them into Nimble records, enrich them with people and company data, and then start nurturing them. If you are a person who is a business professional, you probably forgot more about your products and services and your customers love and know in their life. Give your knowledge away on a daily basis. Don't email them about your great new products or how great you are. Email them about how great they can be. People don't buy great products, they buy better versions themselves. Sell them a better version themselves. Last question from Flo. Do you have a date for the feature where you can give permission to a person in your company to have access to a particular database instead of the entire records? Love that. That's like a softball. Actually, privacy is going into beta the next couple of weeks. You should see it within the next 30 or 45 days. That's contact privacy. And with that, Larry, share some parting words for us to bring us home.
Well, first of all, this was awesome. I hope you guys and gals grabbed some useful nuggets. I could listen to John Ferrara all day long. He's a master at this stuff. Yeah, I'll leave everybody with this, and it's the way I end most of my videos is sincerity, substance, and heart within the sales profession will set you apart.
Amen. And with that, I encourage everybody to connect with us. Here's Larry's contact info. My email is john@nimble.com. Please let us know how we can help you grow. That's why we're here. That's why we do these things. Thank you for everybody taking their precious time today. Have a happy Thursday. It's my daughter's 16th birthday today, so I've got to go take care of her celebrations. Looks like the balloons have gotten here, and it's going to be a great day.
Awesome.
Larry, thank you again.
You're quite welcome. This was awesome. Thank you
so much. And Larry, goodbye.
Goodbye. Take care.